Hey everyone, Andy Raffel from eTeknix.com, and today is all about Z490, and MSI have sent us a trio of motherboards to take a quick look at. Let's do this.
The MSI Prestige PS341WU monitor delivers the ultra-wide experience you've been waiting for. No more compromises on resolution due to its incredible 5K 2K IPS panel and a stunning picture thanks to HDR 600, DCI P3 colour and a versatile 34-inch design. We think it's one of the best monitors ever created. Find out more by clicking the link in the description below.
So as I mentioned, MSI have sent us three boards. They've sent us the I just know this is going to be expensive, Godlike Z490. I'm basing it kind of off pricing off X570 and other chipsets that we've seen in the past. We also have the Z490 Ace, which admittedly is still part of the same range with the MEG or the Enthusiast range. And then we have the MPG Z490 Gaming Carbon, which is more sort of, I guess, aimed at performance and things like that. So what I want to do really is just kind of go through each board and show you, I guess, how they look for starters, some of the key features of them, and then very, very soon when we actually have benchmarked these, we will have some more video content and some written content showing you a little bit more about these boards, sort of a bit more of a kind of deep dive into them as well as how they perform. But today it's all just about really doing a little bit of a preview, getting our first impressions and kicking it off from there. So as the name suggests, this is the Gaming Carbon Wi-Fi. So to start with, appearance-wise, you can see that there is plenty of carbon on there. It's something that we've kind of come to expect with this designer board, and I actually quite like it. Carbon sometimes can look a little bit tacky, but on this board, I actually think it adds a little bit of kind of a premium look to it. Also, as the name would suggest, Wi-Fi. This does have AX Wi-Fi on there, and that is one of the features of Z490 from what I can tell. Obviously, I have to be a little bit careful about what I say because I am bound by NDA, and really, there's things that I know, but I'm not allowed to say, such as pricing. So we're going to kind of go on the rumour mill for pricing. I'm guessing you're going to be looking at about £350 or dollars or euros, no matter where you are, for this particular board. Obviously, around the CPU socket, we have the new socket 1200 or 1200 socket, LGA 12XX. And when it comes to the phases, we do have a 12+1+1 60 amp phase design. So there should be kind of ample sort of juice going to the CPU, so I'm hoping in theory overclocking should be pretty good on it, but based on the rumour mill, this could just be the fact of the new CPUs being a little bit more power hungry and therefore being a little bit more toasty. In terms of other support that we have on here, we do have two-way SLI support and three-way crossfire, but to be fair, I stand by it. I still believe multi-GPU setups are a little bit redundant. When it comes to the memory support, we do have support of DDR4 Boost, an MSI technology that can effectively accept memory up to speeds of 4800 megahertz. Now, this is all going to come down to the actual Intel processors and what kind of memory controller they have on there. Based on previous experience, Intel haven't exactly had the greatest memory controllers out there, but it's going to be interesting to sort of see when we come to test it. Looking around the rest of the board, we can see that there are a few little areas for RGB. So there's an area up here on the kind of rear I/O. There is also an area just below the carbon branding and next to the dragon. We do also have the patented M.2 shield Frozer design covering over where our M.2 slots are. In terms of the PCI Express slots, there are 3 X16 slots, but again, they don't actually all operate at X16 speeds. You are going to be limited by the bandwidth of PCI Express lanes. In terms of storage, you can see there's plenty of SATA ports on there as well. We have USB 3.1, we have Type-C connectors, internal as well as external, and pretty much every feature that you'd expect for a mid to high range board. So yeah, pretty sort of happy with that overall. I think, you know, this is going to appeal to probably the majority of the users out there, as well as some other models that kind of are very, very similar to this, like the Edge Wi-Fi and so forth. But I guess really we should move on to the big bad boys and have a look at the MEG Ace. So moving up the stack, we've got the MEG Z490 Ace. Now, I'm going to be honest, I actually quite like the look of this. I'm not normally a fan of gold, normally think it looks a little bit garish, but in this case, I don't know, it just kind of looks premium, and I think this would look great in certain cases out there, like for instance the MSI Sakura, I think it is, which actually has the same kind of gold accented all around the case. I think it's just very, very subtle, but gives that really nice premium look to it. In terms of sort of CPU power delivery, what we're looking at on this one, we're looking at 16+1 phase, and these are actually 90 amp phases on there. So instead of having the 8+4 like we saw on the board before, we do have two 8-pin power connectors. Again, this is sort of aimed more at the high end, so I'm guessing in terms of overclocking we might have a little bit more headroom with this board, but not just that. According to the rumour mill, again, with these new Intel CPUs potentially having another 2 cores strapped to them and being a refresh of Comet Lake, potentially we're going to need that extra power, and that is going to relate to heat as well. But it's good to see that we do have quite a lot of sort of airflow around the CPU socket. In terms of the memory support, again, up to 4800 megahertz. This time we do have the armoured shielding on there as well as on the PCI Express slots, of which there are 3 X16 physical slots, and that does mean we can do SLI and Crossfire, again if you want to, but in my personal opinion, kind of think it's a little bit dead. Again, we do have Wi-Fi 6 on here, so we're going to get blistering fast speeds there, and it does also have 2.5G Ethernet as well as gigabit Ethernet as well. We do have, again, the M.2 shield Frozer design, so just basically laying over where the M.2s go for your PCI Express Gen 3 devices. Talking about pricing, I'd hazard a guess again that this is going to be a little bit more than the gaming Wi-Fi, maybe around the £400 mark, maybe a little bit less, like 389, somewhere around there. Again, let me know what you think. Let's move on to the Godlike, shall we? So now it's the time of the big bad boy, and this is the MEG Z490 Godlike. I say big bad boy, it's an eATX motherboard, so extended ATX. It just has a little bit more girth to it. Yeah. So MSI wanted me to say one thing straight off the bat. They wanted me to show you an accessory that comes with it. It's not really an important accessory, but they wanted me to show it. They made it very, very clear in their emails. So, there you go. I mean, okay, it's not for everyone, but it does look pretty cool. So, there are a few other accessories that come with it, and one of them I like, the other one, not so much. First one is the SATA cable. For some reason, it's black and red. It's a nice braided cable, and admittedly, if the X570 Godlike is anything to go off when it comes to pricing, this is probably going to be around 750 to 800 quid. It's not going to be a cheap motherboard. So we were just talking off camera, and we actually assume that if you are going to be getting this motherboard, you're probably going to get some custom cables. That's why I'm a little bit frustrated with this. It's black and red. If your colour scheme's not black and red, then it's no good to you. Now, the other thing I do like, kind of gives you a little bit of an inkling as to what this board is all about, and that is the M.2 Expander Gen 4. So, I need to be very, very careful about what I say here. Gen 4, that means that we have PCI Express Gen 4. And by the looks of it, this motherboard supports PCI Express Gen 4. The problem is the CPUs don't, so it's kind of redundant for now. What that actually means is that in the future, when potentially Rocket Lake comes out, maybe that's going to be in 6 months to a year's time, maybe even at Computex, which is obviously delayed until September, but that may bring PCIe Gen 4 functionality and support. MSI will be sitting there going, well, we don't need to do anything. We have already made a board for you that will support that. So there's that. But that's coming later. For now though, PCIe Gen 3. So this is kind of redundant, I guess, in a roundabout way. But let's talk about the motherboard. So like I say, eATX, colour scheme wise, it's pretty much what we expect from a Godlike motherboard. It's big, it's ostentatious, it has everything that you could want or even need. In terms of RGB, we have a little sort of mirrored screen up here. Used to have the infinity glass on there. Now it looks like they've actually traded it out for the dragon. You might even be able to change this. For now, I'm not too sure. Here we have the little readout, which normally sort of says welcome, hello, gives you any debug sort of errors and codes and things like that. And then we have some more RGB down here. Most of the board itself is pretty armoured up. Even on the back, just like the Ace motherboard, it has this whole kind of rear armour plate, just to add support, rigidity, and just that little bit extra kind of premium quality. Talking about premium quality, you can see that we have a large kind of heatsink area that goes around the CPU socket, which is a 16+1+1 phase design, and yes, again, it uses 90 amp phases or chokes. In terms of the memory, we do have DDR4 5000 MHz support. Again, a lot of this is going to come down to the Intel chip and its memory controller, but it does have the kind of armoured shielding around there, as well as on the PCI Express slots, of which we have 3 X16 slots, and again, supports multi-GPUs if you want to go down that route. In terms of your M.2 devices, we do have support there, and MSI with their Godlike board actually has kind of double thermal pads, so a thermal pad to sit below the M.2 drive and also one to sit on top, which is perfect if you are going to be running Gen 4 drives at a later date, because they do get, in the words of the guy from Mortal Kombat, Dusty. We do also have a lot of functionality you wouldn't necessarily see on other lower end boards. Like we have 10 GBE thanks to the Aquantia chip on there. We do have all of our various different buttons for power, reset, if you are using this for, say, breaking world records, overclocking, having it on a test bench as opposed to inside a case. Basically, it's got every single feature you could imagine and more. It's future-proof and it's ready to go. So let's bring the other boards back and just summarize everything up and see exactly sort of where these boards lie in the market and what my personal opinion is on all three of them. So there you have it. You've kind of got your first impressions at the same time as what I've been getting my first impressions of the Z490 Gaming Carbon Wi-Fi, the Z490 Ace, and the Z490 Godlike. Yes, if you want batshit kind of crazy features and have that future-proof ability, pretty sure that's a word, then yes, the Godlike is the one to go for. But I do think it's going to be expensive. If you want something that's just going to do what it's meant to do and look pretty damn nice doing it, then I think the Carbon Wi-Fi is the one to go for. If you want that extra power delivery on the CPU, like you get on the Godlike, but don't want to spend that kind of money, don't need the Gen 4 features, and want something that just, in my opinion, looks absolutely amazing, that's when the Z490 Ace comes in. So yeah, let me know in the comments section below, if you were going to go for kind of an MSI Z490 motherboard, which one would you be going for? Me personally, it'll be that one. We will have other content from other brands as well as the day kind of progresses, so you will see a preview of some Gigabyte boards, Z490, as well as a Zeus. So definitely check out the rest of the videos on the channel, and if you like this one, you know exactly what to do, and I will see you in the next one. See you later, guys. Cheers. Bye-bye.